Good afternoon. This is Ronald Allen with Managing Change Through Effective Communications. Today's topic is how rude is your communications style? How rude is your communications style? Over the 50, 60 plus years that I have been around, and certainly most importantly recently over the last 10 years with corporate training, project and change management initiatives that I've had the fortune of being involved with, and certainly recognizing that different nationalities and cultures, the American style of engaging presents some challenges. And I'd like to share with you a few stories that really clarify this, and then ask you to go forth and see your own style. What's driving your approach to engagement with certain people. So today's discussion is all about how rude is your communication style. So here's a story. Working on a project in a company, and they had a number of younger, in their 20s, associates. And this older gentleman, who happens to come from a totally different country, the Philippines, U.S. citizen, been here since he was a kid. The expression was, "What are you doing? You don't know what you're doing. You need to go home." Now, yes, I've kind of thrown you into the pot there because you're wondering what are the circumstances. Well, it's basic engagement. 2 people, 3 people, a group of people working together. One has preconceived notions that the way this individual was going about their duties wasn't correct, wasn't appropriate. They thought they could then interject in a rather crude manner a disparaging way of communicating. Certainly not insulting in terms of abusive language, certainly insulting in terms of not clarifying, not getting clarity on what was really going on. And this now borders on HR issues, harassment issues, infringement, if you will, on one's civil liberties. Now, are you going to take this person into a training op and say, this is what you're supposed to do? I don't think that's going to work. I think many of you who've seen my videos, and I refer to sexual harassment, is specious. Why? Because we've already elevated the behavior and accepted that behavior from those who are bringing in significant revenue, bringing in significant business opportunities, and are really driving the machinery. So anyone below that, you're really up for grabs, right? You're really up for grabs. You have to, protect yourself. So the response that occurred naturally was, I am an American. I've been here all my life. And I find that offensive, because why should we have to respond in that manner? My response would have been, I'll see you with the Attorney General of the state. That's it. I will see you at the Attorney General of the state, whatever country, it doesn't really matter. Because the arrogance of someone thinking that their little fiefdom, their social position in the order of things, permits them to be so abusive, to be so rude. So right there, I feel how rude is your communications stems from their social upbringing, the expression of behavior they've seen in the marketplace, both at work, with their upline, supervisors, managers, executives, and the general conversation in their own heads in terms of how insecure they are. So there's an example of how rude is your communication where people take the assumptive position and feel they can just express their insecurities. And I say that's insecurities because after working in New York for about 9 years when I first came to this country, I did interior visual merchandising, interior design. I had my own consulting business there. I find that the aggression is not necessary. And I frame it in the sense that, look at the rest of the world. They still get business done. They still get things done. But it's do you need to be so rude? Do you need to be so obtuse? Do you need to be so narcissistic? Do you need to be so insecure in your communications? If, as the expression goes, if the world is going to end today, what's the point? And if it's not, then you have an opportunity to create collaborative efforts to engage people on mutually beneficial terms. And everybody walks away with, let's get the job done. Everyone's pulling instead of you or a few people pushing. Right? So that was one story which kind of cuts deep. I've had similar situations like that. In fact, that does remind me of one. Working at a company, and I'll give the name Paul Stewart. It's a men's haberdashery, suits, outerwear. It does have a line of women's clothes on Madison Avenue, 45th and Madison Avenue, New York. I was transitioning out of the interior design business. I had done some work for them in their visual merchandising areas, and they wanted me to travel and do some work with their other affiliated stores. And an individual came up to me, and I'm going to coax this in a way that is supportive of your own opportunities and perhaps experiences that you have had. And he said that if I was an alternative nationality, I could be president. Now, on the one level, you could say, wow, that's nice. It's a compliment. On the other, I was looking to understand where that came from. What limiting behavior, experience in life, did this person have that would have him say that? Not realizing that there are thousands and thousands of people around the globe that are of similar ilk and are doing great things, are influential, are making their way, their path, plowing the field, if you will, with the interests that they are committed to, that they're passionate about. So again, in looking at an eclectic perspective of how we communicate, I believe it is a better approach, it is a more optimum approach, to look at the other side of the statement. Where did it come from? What is that person's culture? What is that person's social inclinations? Their fears, trepidations, limitations? Do they have a sense of themselves? And if they don't attack. Don't be like the majority. Don't start, or rather continue the fight. In some cases, you would be considered starting the fight. Look at the HR departments. And in the other case, in the other perspective, don't continue. Don't embroil yourself in it. And in many cases, I've found simply dropping the conversation, in other words, no response, right? You know the expression, what's the opposite of love? Any responses there? Do you want to just put a quick poke? What is the opposite of love? I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Many people will say hate, which it isn't, because it's an emotional expression. Love and hate are emotional expressions. The opposite of love is indifference. And it's a very powerful concept to understand, because in the moment, you want to strike back. You want to push back. You don't want someone, or the environment that you're working in to feel that you can be dumped on. And the most powerful thing you can do is to be silent. And I came up with a simple expression in my mind when something like this happens. I did not hear nor see any reason to respond. Right? So when someone is rude to you, cuts in line, says something, tries to create a rise in you, as the slang goes, right? They want to create a rise. Say nothing, like it didn't occur. It did not happen. Now that brings me to my third example of how rude is your communications. And this is, interestingly enough, an individual that helps deaf and dumb people. And they had come into my area of work, and it was a secure environment because of the kind of client services this company provides and I was working in. And at the end of the day, we were leaving, and we all had to sign out. But this individual did not have a card. They came under the auspices of one of the other assistants. And again, I'm not sure where the comment originated from, where the thought originated from. But the person said, and looked at me and said, "Oh, are you going to let me out?" Now you can go through a number of machinations on that one, right? You think for yourself. If you're from the Ukraine, if you're from Ireland, if you're from Cuba, if you're from Peru, if you're from Slavic nations, we can go on and on and on and on without any resolve. My response was exactly the one I gave you in the second example. I said nothing. Absolutely nothing. We're all walking out. Where else are we going? We're all walking out. How else are we going to get out? We're all walking out. I wasn't your chaperone. I wasn't the chaperone. So again, the need to shoot back a response, nil. Absolutely nil. No need whatsoever. So this is a quick, short session for today. I hope I've left you some pointers. Think back to your own experiences. Think back to your day-to-day grind, if that's what it is. Seek to elevate your own conversations. If it's noise about what's going on in the economy, do you really need to respond? Is it going to make a difference? Are you really attributing to something that helps other people? Or is it just another day, what's the song, another brick in the wall, right? So today's discussion, how rude is your communications? And just think for a minute. No matter what nationality you are, no matter what generation you are in America, are you helping the conversation? What is your objective? What is your objective? That, I will say, from the entity, corporate side of talking, is absolutely crucial. If you keep your objective, and even if it is bad, right? Bad to the majority of people, bad as perceived by people, not contributing, at least you've got an argument for it, right? This is why. Now we engage in conversation, and this is the other side of this whole how rude is your communications. This is the other side. Where is it coming from? Is it validated? And is it sustainable? Is it something that people will galvanize around? Many times in corporations, in meetings, people will look to the leader, title in alone, yet they know that there's a technician in the room, no matter what the profession is, no matter what the service product is, there's a technician that probably has a better or optimum way of addressing the issue. Can we get those two minds talking? Are we able to facilitate that environment so that it is looking at categorizing, prioritizing, then executing better communications. Are we mature enough to even do that? Or are we still Neanderthal at our core? This is Ronald Allen, Managing Change Through Effective Communications. You know where to find me, and we are still working on that coaching service. Take care.